Hey everyone, it is 10 a.m. Eastern, so we're going to go ahead and get today's session kicked off. Glad that you're here with us this morning. Today we're going to be covering Teams live events. Hi everyone, my name is Adam Schau. I'm on the Federal Customer Success team here at Microsoft, focused in the federal civilian space, and I'm here with a couple of my colleagues supporting with Q&A. For those of you that haven't used one of these types of meetings before, we're actually using live events to host this meeting about live events. So you'll see it's a little bit different than a standard Teams meeting. You'll see that you don't have like all those peer-to-peer capabilities, so you won't be able to come off mute or show your video or that kind of thing. This is more of a one-way broadcast, but you can interact with us with Q&A. So you'll see the Q&A tool. You should see that available to you over on the right pane by default. Feel free to post in any questions that you have throughout the presentation today. We will answer in real time, and we'll also stop periodically throughout the session today and take any questions that should be covered verbally, okay, or anything that's popular. So that'll be the format today. This is probably going to be a little bit shorter of a session. We have 90 minutes booked for it. I've done these a few times now, and we typically go about an hour. So happy to stay on as long as you'd like and answer any questions that you have, but I'd expect we probably will give you all a little bit of time back today too. Okay, so let's cover like what the focus is today. So this really isn't an intro to Teams course. This is a course that focuses on live events. So if you're looking for more of like a Teams overview, we have other sessions that are available to you, and I'll actually show you these right now. These are the sessions for June that we've had. We have a few coming up next week. We have been hosting these every week now for the last few months, I think since March, when the demand for remote working really spiked. And now that we're coming up to the end of June, we're going to take a couple weeks and reassess. So just so you know, we have these planned for the rest of the month. We're probably going to take a break, like a break for a week or two in the start of July. But you can also go back, and for all these topics, you can go back and view the recording on our point drive. So Shane and Brandon, if you don't mind, would you actually mind posting the point drive up for everyone, the link, just so that they have it? That would be helpful. But just so you know, you can go back, you can attend one of the sessions next week. You can also see this session and others because they're all recorded and being posted for you to check out on YouTube. All right, so let's get into it. So meetings in Microsoft 365. Really, there's two types, and no matter what you're using right now, whether it's Skype or Teams, there's really two different options in Microsoft 365, which is, by the way, just sort of Office 365 rebranded with also our Enterprise and Security Suite included, or our Mobility and Security Suite included as well. So anyway, there's two types of meetings. First are what you typically, what we use probably 95% of the time, which are the meetings that are just more of a peer-to-peer collaboration experience. And these are these over on the left, right? So I typically, like 95% of the time, that's what I use to collaborate with my customers and with my internal teams. We just spin up a meeting. And we can all share our screen and we can all chat with one another and put on our videos and all the rest. These have a limit of 250 attendees, so you cannot go above 250 attendees, okay? And it's definitely more of like, depending on how many people join, it might be a little bit more heavier on bandwidth if like a lot of people are sharing video and that kind of thing. So that's one type of meeting. The one that we're going to be really covering today is this second type of meeting over on the right, which is the ability to connect with audiences at scale. So what's cool about these meetings, so while there is like slightly, I guess, less functionality, if you want to look at it that way, in terms of like, the ability to have everybody come off mute and that kind of thing. But what this does allows you to connect with thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, to host sessions for like tens of thousands of people. So these are really broadcast one-way sessions, so a little bit different, like we're doing today. And you can have, we say, up to 10,000 attendees. The truth is it's actually a lot higher than that. So you can have, at minimum 10,000 attendees, but if you have something for like 20,000 or 30,000, this should be a good option for you too. So this really scales this really scales. And there's no real, well, anyway. So okay, so it's for larger sessions where you want to broadcast out, and it's also a lot less bandwidth heavy on the people that are on the recipients, on you all, just so you know. So anyway, kind of a prerequisite. There's two things. If you don't see live events, we're going to show you how to set up a live event and what that looks like. If you don't see it available in your tenant, in your workspace, this is why. You basically need to go to your administrator and get them to assign you a stream license. So not like this is really important for a daily user, but just so you know, live events uses our stream service to actually carry out the live event. So you need it enabled in your tenant in order to use live events. So you know, these two things, 1, 2, have to be enabled by an administrator in order for you to actually see the option to set these up and to take advantage of it. So if you don't see it, that's why. Send a note to your admin. Now, when we think about successfully scheduling live events in Microsoft 365, I like to think of it in terms of roles. So there's different roles that play different people that play different roles in a successful event, okay? And there are really 4 primary roles that we should think about, and we'll tailor the presentation today to cover those 4 roles and what their options are and best practices for them to make events successful. First one is the organizer. The organizer is the person that actually sets up the event. So they go to Calendar and they actually set up the event. They designate the event members. They set up the timing for the event, right? And then they invite the team to that meeting. Okay, so that's the organizer. Then there's a producer. So the organizer and producer could be the same person or it could be different people. And the producer really determines, they're really the manager of the overall presentation, of the overall live event day of. So they're really, you know, what do you call it? The person at show. They really like manage the overall thing. So they have full capability to send people live, to cut people off, to start the live event, to stop the live event. They really manage the whole thing. And you can have more than one producer if you want. Then second, we have presenters. So presenters have less power, I guess. You know, they can't like start the live event or stop the live event. What they can do is they can present content and they can monitor and answer Q&A. So in general, you know, you have to have a producer in order to carry out a live event. And technically, that's all you need, because the producer could also be the person that's playing the role of presenter. But it's definitely a best practice to have at least one presenter backing you up. So I have 2 people on the call today who are helping answer Q&A, because as I'm doing the presentation with you all, it's too much to, you know, both do a presentation and also to check the Q&A at the same time, right? It's just like a lot. So anyway, definitely best practice to have at least someone backing you up, and you could have a whole team of people doing that too, if you'd like. Finally, we have the attendees, you all. So, you know, at the end of the day, you all you need is a link to access the event and join, as you've probably already gone through. You can all post questions for us, right? You can view the presentation. You can also view it at a later date. So those are really the 4 main roles, and we're going to go through how to make sure you have a successful presentation with those 4. Before we go into the organizer role, though, I'll just stop real briefly and ask if we have any questions or anything at the top of the meeting that the audience would like us to address. Anything, guys?
No, I think we're solid. You're good to move on, I believe.
Shane has one. Somebody does have a question about what is the best way to get a live event recording to Microsoft Stream and have it play with captions and transcript.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? We'll definitely cover that. You basically, the short answer, just because we asked it, but we'll also cover it later, is you go back to the meeting request, download the recording, and then upload it back into Stream. And then by default, Stream, we have closed captioning enabled in Stream, and then Stream will be able to host the video and also transcribe it and produce that transcript there. So that's the short answer. Go to the back to the meeting request, download, and upload. So it's a couple of steps. Cool. All right, good question. We'll cover that in more detail. All right. So first, let's cover the organizer. So this is the person who's setting the meeting up, and how do you do that, right? Okay, so I'm actually going to demo this portion. The rest of the presentation today, I'm going to use a lot of slides, but for this session, we're going to do a live demo here. So here is my Office 365 homepage. For those of you that haven't used Office 365 much or haven't ever seen this before, I like to really call this out. This is my portal. So it's portal.office.com. I just posted that as an announcement in our session. So if you haven't gone to portal.office.com, basically, you know, if you can get credentialed in with your work credentials, so whatever that means, that might be a CAT card, that might be additional authentication through your mobile device, you know, whatever you need to do to get authenticated, then you have access to everything in your work environment. So in Office 365. So you have access to all of your OneDrive files, all of your emails, you know, your calendar, all of your Office files, like anything in Word or Excel or PowerPoint that you need. I mean, really, you just click any of these and it'll pull it up in the browser. Everything on Office 365 can be accessible through a browser. So everything, you know, all you really need is connectivity, a browser, be able to sign in, and you have access to really everything via browser. So I just like to call that out if you haven't seen or used this before. So now I'm using the browser. This is my GCC tenant. So just so you all know, you know, I'm showing a GCC tenant today. It looks very similar in GCC High or the DoD tenants, but I'm using a GCC tenant today, just so you know. So there might be slight tweaks if you're not using GCC. All right, let's get into it. So we schedule our meetings for our live events through Teams. You can also schedule live events through directly through Stream as well. And you can actually do it through Yammer too. So there's 3 different ways you can schedule a live event. By far the easiest, I think, is Teams. So we're just going to focus on Teams today. I never use those other 2. I set up live events all the time, and I always use Teams. It's just easy to do. So we're going to focus on that, what's easy. All right, so you go to Teams, and you'll see my Teams opens up in my browser here. So this is like my demo tenant, right? So this is just some demo teams here that I use to showcase Teams with some of my customers. And the way that you go ahead and set up this initially is through Calendar. So if you think about live events as just a meeting, but another type of meeting. So just like any other meeting that you'd set up, you'd go to Calendar to do it, at least if you're using Teams. So now here's my calendar. You know, I see the option to set up a new meeting. So here's what I'll showcase. So now you can click New Meeting. So you have 2 different ways to do this actually. You can click New Meeting here, and you'll see a new meeting pops up. I'd actually change slightly. So let me go back. Here's how you do it. Okay, so for a new live event, that was to set up a standard Teams meeting, right? If I want to set up a new live event, just this little down arrow here is what I need to click. If I click this, you see I have 2 different options, schedule meeting or schedule live event. I want to click schedule live event. And you'll see the pop-up looks slightly different than a standard meeting. First, there's this notification that I'm setting up a live event, right? So I should see this at top that kind of tells me I'm in the right place. And then a lot of these fields are very similar. So first, for this though, what's important, this is really going to be the invite for the organizing team. You're not going to send this to your attendees, okay? So when you're setting this up initially, think of this as like, you know, your presenters, your producers, you're setting this up for them. You're setting up so that they know when the live event is going to happen. So like, for instance, if you wanted people to jump on 15 minutes or half an hour ahead of time before the live event, you might block this off 30 minutes. Like, let's say this live event was at, well, I guess today it's at 10, right? I could have scheduled this, and we actually did for this internally. We scheduled this at 9:30. So we wanted people to hop on early, get everything tested out, make sure that the link's working, you know, all of that, and start a few minutes early. So we just scheduled this right with that extra block beforehand. So this is really, think of this as the invite to the producing team, okay? So I'm going to go through and schedule this now. So this is what I would have done today. We kick this off at 9:30. The actual event's going to be from 10 to 11:30. So I'm going to schedule it this way. This doesn't have any effect, by the way, on the actual live event. Like, it won't cut you off or anything based on this. This is just blocking your calendar for the time. That's really all this is doing. So let's say live event training, just like we're doing today. If I wanted to, I could do, more details here. So this is again for the organizing team. So let's say, teams, training, series, live events. So this is just telling the organizing team what we're doing. And then this is the important part, okay? This is you setting up your team. So right now I'm signed in as the administrator in this demo tenant. So this is me, and I'm a producer by default, okay? That's what this shows. Let's say I also want to add Deborah to the team. Deborah is added as a presenter. Let's say I also want to add, because I want Deborah to help. Actually, I want Deborah to be the producer, so I'll show you how to change that in a minute. And then let's also add Bob to the team. You notice Bob is a guest, but because we federated, because Bob is a guest in our tenant, we can actually invite him to the producing team. So Bob doesn't need to be, so in this example, like for me at Microsoft, Bob wouldn't need to be a Microsoft employee to actually participate in the production team of the live event today. But what he does need to be is he either needs to be federated or have a guest account. So if you're federated in or you have a guest account, you can add someone who's a guest to the producing team. So technically, and it has to be enabled in your tenant this way. You can also cut off the ability to do this. But just from a product capability point of view, I can invite people outside of Microsoft to the production team of a live event. So this is really nice if you're like, let's say you want to showcase, for me in my life, I might want to showcase a customer and what that customer is doing. And I say, hey, do you want to come do a live event and showcase this to the larger federal community? Talk about what you're doing here. They say, sure. I could create them a guest account and get them right in. So, okay, so this is my team. Let's say it's these 3 people. I want Bob to be helping out with Q&A, and I want him to have the ability to present. So I'm going to leave him as a presenter. Perfect. But I want Deborah actually, like, let's say I'm just organizing this and I'm not actually going to attend because I don't have time or whatever. I'm just setting this up for Deborah. So now Deborah, I want her to be the producer on the event. So how I change her role here is just clicking this little down arrow. And you'll see that she has 2 options, producer or presenter. By default, people are set up as presenters, but I want her to be a producer. So I click that, and now Deborah has full rights to manage the meeting, set the meeting up, start the meeting, and everything else. All right, so this is my team. This is looking good. Maybe we'll add Diego too, just for fun. Maybe we'll have more than 1 presenter here. So you can add a lot of people here, more than you need. I've never added more than like 10 personally. I don't think you'd really ever need to, but you can go up, just so you know. You could add like 50 people here if you wanted to. Just know that this is just for the producing team, not for attendees. Never add an attendee this way. It gets real messy real fast. Just never add an attendee this way. Okay, so here we are. We're setting this up. Everything looks good. We got our time. We got our details here. We got our team. That's really the most important piece. Let's click next. So these are the different options that we have in live events, and we're going to cover this in detail because this is important. So you really need to get this screen right in order to make sure you're set up for success, okay? So right now I have 3 different options for my live event, and let's cover each one. One is for people in groups. This is if I wanted to invite a specific group of people and only have this available to a specific group of people. I've actually never used this option before personally. But if you wanted to, let's say you have a distribution group, really, I think the only way you could really do this effectively is having a distribution group with a couple hundred people on it or whatever it is. You could add that in there and you could add that DL and then basically you'd have to be a part of that DL to join. What I use far more often are the last 2 options. So this is org-wide. This means, so for me at Microsoft, this means that everybody at Microsoft that has a Microsoft.com account can join the meeting. So, I'll only share the URL with the people that I want to join the meeting, but technically anybody in the company could join if they wanted to. So if people wanted to forward this along to other people at the company that weren't initially invited, all good. All they need is the URL and they can join as long as they're with Microsoft, right? What you do need though for this option, and this is like kind of a key thing, you need to be licensed for Teams, and you need to be authenticated as your Microsoft account. So like, let's say that I tried to join this through my personal email account, wouldn't work, right? Let's say that I tried to join this for some reason, if I didn't have access to Teams, which shouldn't be the case if everybody does, but let's say for some reason I won't be able to join. So this actually uses the Teams client to authenticate people. So those are the requisites. You need to be, part of the org, and you need to have Teams. This last one is a lot more flexible. So this is the public option. Really, this all you need to do, basically anyone in the world can join this meeting if they have the URL. Basically, all they need is the URL and a browser, and they're in. It's also anonymous. So in these two, you're authenticated, right? So I know exactly who's joining in these two types of meetings. But in the public option, if you all notice, you probably got a prompt to put in your name. So, it's not authenticating you, it's just asking you who you are. So just so you know, if you really need to authenticate people, whatever people type in that prompt, when you get your report at the end of the session, you'll just see what people typed in, right? So just know that. It's not anonymous, but people can type in whatever they want to type in. So just kind of know that. Okay, so that's the public option. All you need again is a browser and the URL, and of course connectivity, and you're in. So this is what we use today. Now here's another tip. You got to scroll down to see the rest of the options. So I've worked with, this happens typically when people are starting to learn live events. They don't notice this, but you got to scroll down to see all the different options. Okay, so scroll down. And then let's go through each one of these. So first, recording available to producers and presenters. This means that after the session is over, that a recording is posted up in the meetings pane. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. That has all the a recording of the session that you can download. So I don't know why you'd ever want to uncheck this, because it's always nice to have the option of downloading it. So this basically just gives the organizing team the ability to download it if they want to. A recording available to attendees. So what this does is it allows, basically the recording gets automatically hosted up in the cloud. And if you come back after the recording and click that same URL that you used to join the initial event, the recording will spin up and you can watch it. So this is really nice, so that, like, let's say people start forwarding the URL to people, and maybe some people can't just have the time blocked and can't get out of that, but they come back a couple hours later and click that same link. They won't go nowhere. They'll actually go to the recording of it, and they can go and watch the recording. So that's pretty cool. So that's hosted up in the cloud. You see that just sort of explains that. So this is the ability to post that up or not. Okay. Down here, captions. So this is a great accessibility feature in live events. You have the ability to caption out in real time, transcribe what the presenters are saying. Okay, so you can all take advantage of this on your side. If you're interested, you can turn these on your side. This is setting up by default, just to configure the captions. This is just asking you to a couple of questions to set up how you want them configured, right? So the spoken language is English. That just means that the machine learning, that magic thing, it's transcribing everything is just listening for English as I talk, right? So yes, English, it's going to be in English, and then I can choose up to 6 languages to translate it to. So this is really cool. So you can choose, we have a lot of different options here, and you can choose 6 that you want the ability for attendees to be able to select to view the recording in real time. So basically, you choose the top 6 that you think people that might be attending your presentation would take advantage of. Okay, so select those 6, and then that's captions, and then attendee engagement report. This is a report that's available to you after the session that shows who attended, from where. It shows some details about where people attended from, like probably based off IP locations. Who attended, from where, and when they logged on and logged off. So it's basically just like a report of people joining and people leaving. I always click that. That's nice to have. And then finally, this is the really key one, right? And this is what sometimes people who are just beginning to learn live events kind of get messed up with, is not saying that the Q&A is unchecked. I don't know why this is unchecked by default, but it is. So just know, if you don't go in here and scroll down and click, you will not have Q&A set up. Okay, so common thing is setting one up without Q&A and then having to scramble and make a new bridge right before the event with Q&A. So try to avoid that. Just make sure that when you're setting it up initially, you scroll down and click Q&A. And another thing about Q&A, you can actually turn it off during the session. So in my mind, it should always be selected. And then if for some reason you wanted to turn it off during the actual session, you can do it in real time in the session. So it doesn't hurt to add it, I guess is my point. If I wanted to use encoders, these are more advanced features down here. I don't think you really have to worry about them too much. I've never used this, to be honest, but encoders are the ability to have more professional grade presentations. So if, for instance, you wanted to have like 4 different video feeds with 4 different people talking at the same time, and you wanted to use live events to broadcast that out, it's possible to do that. It's not available out of the box, but it's possible to do that with encoders. So anyway, if you wanted to do that, you can play around with that. We're not going to go through that today. And then finally, we have a URL for support. So you can put in like your local help desk URL or whatever. It goes to Microsoft's support.office.com by default. But if you wanted to, when people click like the help there, if you want to redirect them somewhere internally, you can do that too. All right, so with everything set up here, we're going to go ahead and schedule our session. So click schedule. It'll spin for a second, and now this is the details. So we can see when it is, what it's called. This is the attendee link, and these are the people that are on the team. So the only thing now, so this is the first step. The second step will be sharing this attendee link with the people that you want to invite. So just know, this is only going out, this invite, to these 4 people. Those 4 people have this now blocked on their calendar, but nobody else knows about it. So the second step, once you set it up, is to go in, click the attendee link. Now it's copied to clipboard, and then I share it however I want to share it. So maybe I send out another meeting request to a broad audience, and I put this in the details of the request. Or maybe I share this via an internal Yammer or SharePoint site. Or maybe I share this via social media out on LinkedIn if it's like a public event, or Facebook or something. So however you share this, you just need to do that second step to share it. You'll also notice if I scroll down a little bit that here is where my resources that are going to be available after the session. So this is where the meeting recording is going to be posted, that attendee report is going to be posted, the Q&A report, all of that is going to be available here. So if you don't know, so after the session, after you go through it, after you end the session, it takes maybe 10 minutes or something to process, maybe a little longer, I don't know. But anyway, after that, all that stuff will pop up here. So just go back to the original meeting invite for just the production team, right? Only these 4 people have access to it, and you can go in and download stuff from there. So it's all contained in this invite right here, trying to make it easy. So the second step then would be getting this attendee link, closing that out. And then let's say I'd go in here, just kind of show you what I might do. So remember how I said the session was going to be from 10 to 10 a.m. to 11 or 11:30, I think, right? So then this would be, let's say, this is just one way that I could do this, right? And I could put in live events training, and then I'd add in all of my DLs here. So however I want to share it, however wide you want to share it, you just put in email addresses just like you normally would, and then you'd kind of put out the text here, talk about what live events is. I'm not going to type all this out, and then say, to join, click this link, and enter that, or or it might be nicer to click this and do a link like this because it's a big long link. To join, click this link. And now whoever you send it out to, all they have to do is click this down here and boom, they'll pop into it. Okay, so that is the organizer's role, and that's how you set up a meeting and get the word out to your attendees. I'll stop there for a second. Any questions that I can cover from anyone?
Do you know if the captions in the recording are 508 compliant?
I believe that they are. I don't know why they wouldn't be, and I'm like 99% that that is technically the case. Yes. So it's from an accessibility from a 508 standpoint. I mean, not only live events, but Teams has the ability for closed captioning too. And Stream also transcribes. So from a 508 perspective, this is just makes it really easy. Any other questions?
Is it possible on a Teams live event to have attendees be able to see the list of all participants, including other attendees? Or is that unique to the presenters and producers?
It is unique to the presenters and producers. So these events are kind of anonymous in this way. And the idea is, you could have like tens of thousands of people joining, right? And so that's right. So it's kind of anonymous, which could be a good or a bad thing. On the good side, you might have a lot of people join that you don't want to share information about other people with. So it's sort of anonymous in that way. I guess the downside is, as an attendee, you really have no visibility. So anyway, the answer is no, you cannot see who else is in the live event with you as an attendee. Anything else?
Our agency currently uses Adobe Connect for webinars. Anyone can attend, they're public. Adobe Connect requires them to register beforehand and sign in when they attend, and that allows us to send a follow-up survey to those who attended. Because we have their email addresses, with a public live event on Teams, would that be possible? So correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but there is a way to make an event require you to sign in as opposed to joining anonymously, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that way would have been to set that up as a company event, basically. So okay, let me answer this this way. You really have two options. One is you can set it up as a company event and you know exactly who joined with all of the email addresses, okay? But let's say you want to do a public event and you want to capture email addresses that way. In the tool, there's no easy way to do that I know of, but what you can do, and what I've done with some of my customers, is I use Microsoft Forms to set up a registration page. So that we're going a little bit off, like kind of a slide aside here, but I think this is probably important. So here's going to Forms, create a new form. Let's see if I have one set up. I do. This is actually one I did with a customer. Okay, so here we have CIO connection registration. And then I had them put in their name, their company, and their email. And then what we did on the back end, so we set this form up. So this is what the form looked like, okay? So this is a public form. You can share these publicly. But I mean, if you're configured this way, you just have to make sure that you have the ability to do that, but the product can share this publicly. Then what we did is we broadcasted this form out through social media, through whatever, to get people who are interested to find them if they're interested. They'd come here, they'd enter in these 3 different topics, and they'd submit. And then once they submitted, it would take their email that they added here, and using Power Automate, it did a flow on the back end. And I'm not going to show you how to do this today because it's not really like a good use of time, but it's actually pretty easy to do. Create a flow on the back end where once they submit it, they automatically receive an email with all the registration information. Hi, welcome to the event. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be doing it this date. Here are the presenters, here's their bios, and here's the link to join. And so it shot them an email with all the details of the event in there. And then in that way, we captured all of the email addresses from all the registrants ahead of time. So that's what I've done to kind of get around that, and it worked great. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, very good. So let's get on to the next section here. That was the organizer viewpoint. Now let's go to producer and presenter viewpoint. I'm going to do mostly slides here just to kind of talk through it, but I also am going to show you what we're all using to host this event today. So just so you know. But all right, let's start with slides, and then I'll show you what we're using in real time here in a minute. So let's say you're going in real time, or you're the producer. You want to kick things off. First, you go in, click the meeting invite. This pops up. This should look familiar, right? This is what we just reviewed. Click the join button. You'll come to the what I call the powder rooms. This is your initial getting set up beforehand. So again, this is just going to be for that production crew, you know. So this is just going to be with you and your producers and presenters. So click here. This allows you to come off mute or come off video. This allows you to get configured with the devices that you need. Click join. Also, if you have it for some reason accidentally, you can choose to join as an attendee. So anyway, all right, and then this is what the view pops up. So this is the Teams view for managing live events. So this is what it looks like. And this is what we're all using to present and organize this event to you all right now. So we have this view open up on our end too. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. But just to kind of cover what we're seeing here. Up top, you see some details on the event, how many attendees are on. This shows that it's pre-live, so it hasn't actually started yet. That's good to know. Here we see two panes, right? We have our queue pane here. This is the where you can set up content ahead of time. And then once you set up content, you click this button to send live, and then it goes over to the live event screen. And then finally, once you've clicked that, sent it live, gone over here, then you click the start button, and I have slides, I'll show you what this all looks like, then it goes live. So it's kind of this two-step, right? So like this one over here is sort of the first queuing screen, and you have some options down here on how you want to set that up. And then second is what people are seeing in real time once you actually get started. Down here, you have the production crew. So these are the 3 people that have been involved. And if you want to share content, you do that over here. So that's a lot. I'll just kind of show you what this looks like here. But first, let's go to, it's a lot I'm showing you here in one screen. But anyway, first, let's check out some of the options that we have, okay? So the first option we have is Q&A. So this is the Q&A button. So that was at the top right before. And this is the Q&A tool that we're all using with you all to moderate this. So you see you have a couple different options. You have incoming questions, you have questions that are live, and you can choose to open it or close out. Like I said, if you wanted to close the Q&A during the event, you can do that, and that's how you do it right there. So this is the live section. So this is the live section, and you see, so this is what has gone live to everybody in the event. So, and it says make an announcement down here. That really allows you to send out an announcement. So, you know, what I had earlier was thanks for joining. You know, we'll start at 10 a.m. Shane posted the recordings. I posted the portaledoffice.com. This is how we did all that. Okay. And it's pretty easy to make an announcement. Really, all you do is you just put in, you know, your text here and hit the airplane just like you would in a normal Teams meeting, and then it posts it up as an announcement for everybody to see. And again, only presenters and producers can push that out to everybody. All right, so that's the Q&A tool and how to use it. So you can see how it's you know, there's a little bit involved in it, so you probably want to have 1 or 2 people helping you out with Q&A during just sort of answering in real time. Next, let's move over to comments. So comments is, so think of this as, you know, all of this is as a Teams meeting for just your team, for the production team. And this is the comments that just that production team can use to chat with one another. Okay, so this doesn't go out to the larger audience. This is just for the 4 of us or the 3 of us here. And what this is nice is to use, like if you just need to communicate with each other while a session is live, instead of actually like, you know, verbally doing that and having all the attendees hear it, you can just do it. You can communicate privately in this meetings chat area. Okay, So that's what this is for, an internal production team meetings chat. So like, let's say you're like, you know, the next person is going to get set up to be presented. While someone else is presenting, you might say, hey, are you ready? We're getting you set up now. You know, double checking that you want your video feed on. Yep, good, okay. And then, you know, then you push them out live. So this is where you do that. So you can just see here, kind of like a standard meeting, you know, Teams meeting, you know, this is the just chatting with each other like that, okay? Yeah, okay. And so next, let's go to, so that's pretty much it. You can also see the attendees, like if you wanted to, just like, you know, you see people down here, but if you want a different view of that, and also if you want to click your different devices and you want to get yourself configured, you use those two buttons. So next, let's show how to share content in these screens, okay? So down here is how you do it. So click that share button, and you'll see what pops up is, if you've used Teams, this should look pretty familiar. You have different options to share content. So I can share an actual screen, which is what I'm sharing with you all right now. So that means anything that I post up on the screen, you'll see. But I can also share our applications. So I can share just PowerPoint or just a web browser or just whatever. And that's a little bit less of a lift on from a bandwidth perspective, but it's also nice kind of like from a privacy perspective. If you only have one screen, it'll make sure that like let's say you have like incoming emails, like that little email ribbon that pops up, or incoming IMs, like it just makes sure that none of that gets shown to the audience. So if you choose just PowerPoint, for instance, you'll only be able to share PowerPoint, but it would never show like anything private on your desktop. It would never show an email, it would never show your notes or anything like that. It just shows the PowerPoint. So that's kind of the advantage there. It's also like a little less heavy on bandwidth, which doesn't matter as much for live events. It matters more for a regular Teams meeting, but also has an impact with live events. It's a little lighter. Okay, so let's say we choose one of these options here. So you just double click it. And then what happens is that option moves from there up to here. So this is the queue pane. This is basically getting yourself set up for the event or for a presentation. And now you have two different options down here. You have to have one feed for the live event. So you need to share you can't just do audio. You do need to share something. So if it's mostly an audio thing, you might want to put together like one PowerPoint slide and just present that one PowerPoint slide during it. But you need to share something. You could also share just video. So like, let's say you just want to have an address where you have someone on video and that's all that you want to show. You don't even want to share a PowerPoint or whatever. That's fine too. You just need to have one feed, whatever that is, okay? So click this. Just to show you, we have two different options down here. Okay, we have two different options. The first is just a PowerPoint. The second is the second option, and that's both PowerPoint and also video feed. So this just, you know, I didn't use this today, but if I did, you'd be seeing the PowerPoint and you'd see my face right next to that talking. Okay, so you can do one or the other, depending if you want to go on video or not. Then basically click the send live. So we just want to do PowerPoint here. Now we're moving it from the queue stage to the live event stage. We're still not live yet though, at least initially, because we haven't, you can still see, right, pre-live. And once you get familiar with it, this yellow means that it's still pre-live, red means that it's live. But anyway, so we're still loaded up. We're getting ourselves all configured. We have our content that we want. You know, everyone is muted here, you know, maybe it's looks like Rob is speaking and Abby is speaking, but Daniela is not. So maybe we have two people presenting right now. So you're getting all set up. Then you click start. A little pop-up will say, are you sure you want to start? Because once you start, you cannot stop. So this is this is pretty key. So just make sure that once you click that start now button that you mean to start, because you know, you can't stop at that point. When you stop, it's over. But you can stop, but it's over. You can't restart it again, I guess is a better way to put it. So like, for instance, if you're testing out this, you know, the live events product, like you want to set up a separate bridge to test it out in. You don't want to test it out in your actual bridge, because if you test out in your actual bridge, you'll need to set up another one, okay? So just know you can only start at one time and you can only end at one time. you can't restart it again. All right, so this is what this is saying. It's saying, are you sure? Let's say we're sure. We want to kick this thing off, continue. Now we're live. So we see this popped up to live. You'll see that now this is red, and we're live. You know, yeah, we're going. And whenever we want to finish, what we do is whenever, you know, so we can continue to do this, what I just showed you. We continue to share content down here, post it up here ahead of time, and then we're ready to go live. Click the live, and that'll pop that new content over on the right, and we'll send it actual live through the live stream. When we're all done with it, you know, at the end of the session, we'll click the end button, and the end button will stop it, and we'll start processing the recording and the after action, after meeting reports and all that stuff. And so I just want to show you, just because you have give you an idea of what this looks like. This is actually, so this might be like slightly confusing, right? But I'm just kind of showing you here. This is actually what I'm using in real time. Okay. So, oh boy, yeah, maybe that's too much. But I just wanted to kind of like show you, like, so here we have the queue, we have the live event. Here's all of us on the screen. Here's our Q&A. So this is the stuff that we've posted. Over here in dismissed are the questions that have come in that we've answered. And if there's a reply, it'll pop back into new. These new are what we haven't addressed yet. So we want to make sure we cover those. Here's all the options above that I just showed you. Here's the details about what's going on. Here's our two screens, all the rest. Okay, so that's actually what we're using today for this. Just kind of want to show you that. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for producers and presenters. Shane, Brandon, anything that you'd add, and also any questions that we have that we can address?
Yeah, I did have a question in here about, so when you record a Teams meeting, it gives a notification saying that it is being recorded, but that does not seem to happen with a live event. Do you have to verbally tell people that you are recording that meeting or that live event?
Yeah, you probably do need to verbally tell people. The thing is, nothing that the attendees say will be publicized, right? So, you know, typically in a standard Teams meeting, it's important to notify everyone that's being recorded, because like when they come off mute and they start talking, it's recorded, you know, like someone can go back and watch that later. In this though, you're only going to hear from me, or me and Shane and Brandon. And we're never going to publicize. You actually notice I did that on purpose. I didn't publicize any of the EIMs because I didn't want to. But like, so you'd never know what other people's questions that are asking unless they've been published. You know, you'd never be able to come off mute and ask anything. So really, it's very private. So this is kind of like even though this could be 10,000 people on the line right now, it's still, from an attendee point of view, a pretty private meeting. Like nothing personal will be exposed. So yeah, you know, it's not a bad idea to tell people that it's recorded. I think that's a good point, but also the concern is definitely a lot lower than a standard Teams meeting when you have the ability to come off mute and talk. So, okay, anything else?
One person did ask if you can take a survey during a live event, and while that is not a function of a live event itself, Microsoft Forms is a great way to take surveys, and that is an app that can be added into Teams and be integrated with Teams. So that is one way that you could use to take polls and surveys during a live event.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so back to this form, like this is what we had before, right? So this is me organizing it. I have it shared. Anyone with the link can respond. So let's do that. This is the share URL here. Copy that. And what I can do is I can set up this form, and then I can go back to our live event and say, take the survey. You all don't really have to do this, but just showing you how you would. Pop this in here. See, I just posted in the Q&A, take the survey. If you click that, it would bring you to this form in real time. And then everyone, you know, and then you could show it. So also what's kind of cool if you do it this way is, as you know, if any of you actually go through and take the survey, this results responses area will change in real time. Like you'll see these responses pop up. You'll see like usually there's once more people answer questions, there's a lot of data visuals and stuff going on here. So it's kind of cool. You can actually present the form this way and then show what the results are in real time. So it's a great way to do it, and that's how you would do it. Anything else? Shane, Brandon, anything else? All right, I guess that's a no. Let's keep on keeping on. All right, so the last phase here, and again, we're really kind of wrapping up already. This last part here is attendees. You already know what this looks like because you're attending this today with us. But you know, basically the way to attend is however you share out the URL, whether it's a LinkedIn post or a calendar post or whatever. You go there, you click that URL, the watch live event, you know, broadcast link there, click that. It'll take you to this page as you're all seeing right now in real time. You can interact with Q&A using these tools up top on the top right. Yeah, and there's really no need to really go through this much because you're all using it right now. So this is the attendee experience. Just know that it works on your client. You can use Teams. You can use a browser. So this is for public events that are just open. You can use Teams. You can use a browser. You can also use your phone. You can also use Teams on your phone. So you have a lot of different options, or you can use like an iPad. You can use really like you got a lot of options here. Basically, all you need is a browser or Teams anywhere, and you can join. So just you have a lot of options to join. All right, and the last piece here we'll just close out with just production options. I'm not going to show too much here, but just so you know, I always, so you know, you have two different options. One is like basically the easy way, which is what we're using right now, which is just setting it up in Teams and producing it. Everything we've done is out of the box. This is how we're doing today's live event. Is just using everything that I just showed you. If you want, you know, like when our CIO or CEO has like their live event for, you know, 100,000 Microsoft employees, they do it differently. They have like a studio grade, like professional setup with multiple cameras and, you know, and all that, you know, multiple mics and all that stuff. I don't have as much experience doing that, but just so you know, if that's an interest, if that's something that you want to do, there's a lot of you know, enabler connectors they can plug into live events in order to make that happen. So it's a full professional grade solution as well as being an easy thing to use out of the box. And with that, we'll go ahead and take any final questions that you all have. And I'll just say, you know, thanks for attending today. I hope it was helpful. Please feel free to send feedback through the Q&A tool to us. Feedback is great. I appreciate anything that you have, good, bad, or indifferent. And be sure to also check out that point drive that Shane had just to kind of go back to the other sessions that are coming up this week. Here we go. Next week, we've got Teams Fundamentals, which is really like a Teams 101, Teams Intermediate, which are more advanced Teams features coming up on Wednesday, and then Applications, so learning about Microsoft apps and even the little third-party apps, which are available in GCC if you're interested on Thursday, and then one more final Teams overview on the 30th. So feel free to take advantage of any of these coming up and also to watch any of the recordings in that post that Shane posted. All right, with that, we'll take any final questions. Shane, Brandon, anything?
I'm checking one thing. Oh, you can go first, Shane. Okay, well, I had one question regarding how you were progressing through the PowerPoint presentation while in the live event, and that might be easier for you to explain than for us to type.
Okay, yeah. I shared my second screen. So I'm working at home and I have multiple screens set up. So I have my, you know, my computer and then also another screen that's attached to it. So this is my second screen that you're all seeing here. And I shared that screen. So anything that shows on that screen that you all see. And then I'm just flipping through between Edge. So this is my browser, right? So this is my Edge browser. Between that and between the PowerPoint. So I'm just sharing the screen and then flipping between those two things, basically. Hopefully that's helpful. And I get some questions every now and then about using about using the stylus, or like you know, putting notes on here. All I have is I have a Surface device at home. I have a stylus, like a digital pen, and when you present a PowerPoint, when you hit the present button, it shares, you know, the PowerPoint on that screen, but also there's the presenter view. And in this presenter view, you can flip through slides, and also make doodles and stuff. And you can do that with a mouse or a stylus. So I've gotten some questions about that in the past. That's what I'm using to do that. Okay, so I think we covered everything. Brandon, Shane, anything else that we want to cover today? Okay, if you're interested in a non-out-of-the-box feature, what's the best way to receive guidance on those features? Yeah, that's a good question. Here's something I just had in the appendix here. Here's some of the encoders that we typically work with. I would type in live events encoders. Shane, Brandon, if you have a URL for that, if you don't mind posting that, there's some pretty good guidance out there just on TechNet and whatever, talking about how to use encoders, but the terminology are encoders, and the encoders are what you use within live events to do those multiple video screens and, you know, basic production level stuff. And here's some of the, I haven't, just to tell you, just to be honest with you, I haven't used any of these partners before. This is out of some marketing slide that we have internally, but apparently these are some of the partners that we use a lot. So you could look up, you know, both this terminology, live event encoders. You'll see some TechNet articles about that. Also, you might want to check out any of these different companies just to kind of see what they offer and what they do. So hopefully that's a good starting place for you. And yeah, and finally, just I think to answer one of the questions, you know, you get that meeting recording. So after the session, when we click end, we'll go back here, we'll click this live event, the meetings, all the meeting stuff will pop up here. We can download it, whatever we need to do. And then to show you where you'd publish it, because we had this question earlier, it'd be in Stream. So come in, here's our Office 365 homepage again, right? Click Stream. Stream is, think of like your internal company YouTube. Okay, so this is something that's only available to you internally. So this isn't an external sharing tool. You'd have to use YouTube or something to share externally. This is an internal tool. But you can come in here, go to my content, go to my videos. Here's like 2 videos that I have. I click one. You know, I could add the transcript to it if I wanted to. I can do whatever I can. So it would basically pop up like this, and then you can access it, you know, have it automatically transcribed, do all that stuff directly in this screen here. So that's how I'd manage it afterwards. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, guys. Is there anything else? Yeah, you could use Prezi or other software other than a PowerPoint. Whoever, to the anonymous person who posted that in, you can use Prezi and really anything you want. We're just sharing the screen, so anything you put on the screen will work. So you can use any tool that you want and it'll show up. All right. Well, we'll get to any remaining questions that you have. Feel free to post anything else in the chat, and we'll make sure we work our way through any last-minute questions that you have. But I think we're nearing a natural closing point here. So just want to say thanks everyone for joining. I hope we found it helpful. Feel free to join some of those other sessions that we have, and have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. And we'll go ahead and close down now. Thanks all.